Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Driving the World podcast. I'm your host, Jared Scott. I have with me Austin.
Hey.
Austin, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks, man. Good to be
Yeah,
here.
yeah, absolutely. So, we're going to be talking about the P2E Planetary. Before we do that, though, let's talk a little bit about you and your role at SEW.
Yeah, sure, man. So again, like Jared said, my name is Austin Burdette. I am the HIG Heavy Industry Gearing Product Manager and Business Development Manager here in the U.S. I do a little bit of everything, but my primary focus is the logistical, technical, and marketing side of our large industrial gear product lines.
Basically, what he's saying is he knows a lot about industrial gearing. That's why we have you here.
Yeah,
So,
thank
so
you.
Austin, you're welcome. When customers are looking at planetaries,
Mhm.
like, why would you want a planetary?
Yeah.
Let's not even talk about EuroDrive yet. Let's just talk about geared planetary
Mhm.
solutions. What's good about them?
Yeah, absolutely. So you can handle more overload torque, so higher and more frequent peak torques than your traditional, like rectangular shaped gearboxes, which are helical gearboxes, typically right
Mhm,
angle or parallel
mhm.
setups. But with a planetary, you get more gears and mesh at any given time.
Okay,
Yeah.
nice. So I guess if, like, let's just say I'm a customer, what would be a typical challenge I'm facing where I should say, planetary could solve all my problems?
Sure. Yeah, I would say definitely if you have those high torques that are common, maybe applications like shredders or crushers,
Mhm.
definitely for that. Also, like mixers too, that would be a big application. We see a lot of these P2E products used in like asphalt mixing or concrete mixing
Mhm.
applications. And then also if you have like a very compact space in your operation, so like in your machine or your
Okay.
plant. So yeah, the planetarians are very torque dense is what we call it.
Torque dense.
Yeah.
So I hear your applications. It seems like those might have some shock loads to them. So
Mhm.
is the
Absolutely.
planetary good for the shock load?
Very good for shock loading.
All right.
Absolutely. We see them a lot on apron feeders too, where there's a lot of shock load in the
Gotcha.
mining industries. Yeah.
Okay. That's like those things where the big rocks fall in and they're getting
Mhm.
crushed, and
Exactly.
you
And
can
then
have
conveyed.
variable
Yeah.
loads and all types of things going on
Mhm.
there.
Absolutely.
Sweet.
Yeah. Very
Sweet.
dynamic.
So we've got ourselves an example here. Appreciate you bringing it with you.
Yeah.
This is your little pet P2E, but this is actually
Absolutely.
this is actually a scale size of our smallest size, right?
It
The
is,
O2.
yeah, 1-to-1 scale of the size
Okay.
002E.
All right.
That's right, yeah.
So, you mentioned some of the other gearboxes out there, and for those of you listening, you may be familiar. SEW has a lot of options when it
Mhm,
comes to power transmission. Where does this fit in with our product line?
sure, yeah, so I would say it's, very much on the torque rating side. It kinda falls nicely with our XE series
Hmm.
for the IG products.
Okay.
And then now, thanks to the P2E enhanced product, our original P2 product required a pre-stage gear motor that would mount, on the input side of the planetary gearhead. But now we can mount motors directly into the planetary gearhead. So that allows us to have, much faster output speeds, so it unlocks some new applications. So your
Mm.
overall ratio can be lower. I believe it's 15.2 to 1 all the way up to 332. Yeah, ratio, which is a good bit lower. Just to give you a frame of reference, the P2 product line with the 7 Series pre-stage gear motor was like, I think the lowest combinations were about 150 to 1. And then
Okay.
it would go all the way up to basically as high as you want to go, like tens of thousands.
Yeah.
Yeah, to 1 for the
Really slow
ratio.
speeds then.
Very slow speeds.
Yeah.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
P2E is more in line with the XE series ratios
Mhm.
overall, and therefore the output speeds and then the torque ratings are very similar. But like we kind of started talking about those, it's a different gear train design entirely.
Mhm.
So there's just some, nice pros for the planetary.
Okay. So I'm imagining now this kind of comes in line with our other gear motors where you can actually have direct drive with a motor.
Mhm.
So that opens up a whole nother world of possibilities when it comes to options with our motors, right?
Absolutely.
That's amazing. So torque density to me seems like a buzzword. What are we really saying? Like a customer, they say they got this old junky unit, and we're not
Mhm.
going to mention names here, but this thing's old and rusted. It's
Sure.
60 or 70 years old. And, they've already built this huge monstrosity of a machine around it. And so
Sure.
where does having a torque dense package come in to be beneficial as far as doing product replacement
Oh,
or
absolutely.
upgrades?
Yeah, absolutely, man. So I would say one thing that you get as a benefit would be just spatial constraints. So the overall, torque that you need that's required for that application. can be achieved by a physically smaller drive package with our Planetary, and also our XE series for that matter as well, especially compared to these older gearboxes, and even current competitors too.
Yeah,
So that's a huge benefit. And then also, since it's physically smaller, that means it's going to weigh less typically, especially for those older retrofit replacements. And then that weight reduction directly gives you a cost reduction as
sure.
well in
Okay.
most cases, which is really nice.
Very nice. So I don't want the audience who's watching this video to think this is the only configuration we have. So we've got like a
Sure.
shrink disc hollow shaft, and then we've got a foot mount. But what
Mhm.
other mounting options do we have out there on the output side of the gearbox and mounting capabilities for the
Yeah.
P2E2 machinery or conveyors, whatnot?
Absolutely. Yeah, so kind of starting all the way on the output end, we'll talk about the output shaft options first. So you can see, if you guys are watching this rather than just listening, you can see there's a hollow shaft bore with a shrink disc. So that would be a great hollow shaft mounting option. We also have a hollow spline option as well for our hollow shafts. And then for solid shafts, we have our traditional solid keyed. Then we also have a solid spline shaft as well. And I believe we have a smooth solid shaft too. But
Okay,
yeah, you'd have to double check me on that one.
sure.
And then for the mounting, different types of mounting, you can see on the video that we have foot mounting, like you mentioned. We also have flange mounting. So if you just unbolt the planetary feet that you can see there, it would be ready for flange mounting. And you can also replace those feet with a torque arm.
Yes.
And it can be a custom torque arm as well to fit your application needs.
Ease of install, right?
Absolutely.
Sometimes you just need a big crane
Yeah,
because these are the small ones.
exactly.
So I think about too, one of the challenges with especially when you get into larger gearing is the thermal ratings.
Mm,
You've always got to worry
sure.
about, am I cooking my oil? Am I losing horsepower and torque because things just got too hot?
Exactly.
So what's great about the P2E when it comes to its thermal rating?
Sure. Yeah. Great question, man. And you're exactly right. When we get with up to these larger motor powers, larger gearbox sizes, the thermals can often become the limiting factor versus just the actual mechanical torque. So definitely with the P2E, the product is now enhanced where we can add standard cooling fans to the input side, which is great because that previous and still current P2 product with that pre-stage gear motor, there was no way standardly to add a fan of some kind there. So yeah, the P2E has standard fan options, which is great, and that's with motor adapter, and also with just a free input shaft as well for like maybe a pulley or something to go on the input shaft. Then you can put a fan on there too.
Very nice, very nice. So it's able to have, I guess you could say, continuous load, stable operation,
Absolutely,
even if you're in a
absolutely,
in a location that's a little warm. So
absolutely,
good
exactly.
stuff. So, I think we're kind of at the end. I just want to say, all right, you sold me on this. How do I get one of these? Are there any specialists? Because,
Sure,
like I might just be like, oh, yes, I need this to turn. I need this conveyor to move this fast, and I need it to move lots of rock.
right.
And that's my knowledge stop
Mhm.
right there.
Sure.
How do I get help from SEW?
Absolutely, man. Great question. So we have just a slew of sales, outside sales and inside sales support people, and also a bunch of design engineers, application engineers that are very happy to help out with any request
Hmm.
that a customer would have. So
Okay.
absolutely. So I would encourage potential customers or current customers to reach out to their customer service rep, their sales rep, and then they can get them in contact with application engineering internally, and also even design engineering if needed.
I know those people. You know those people, but how do we find those people? Is there something on the website we could go to, or how would you recommend customers get in touch with us?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, if they don't have an email or a contact, a cell phone number or something for their sales rep, then they can certainly go on to our website and find that person through online support, I believe.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Excellent. Excellent. Appreciate that. So, at the end of the day, this planetary is one of many different solutions we provide.
Mhm.
Why should someone use the P2E over
Mhm.
other products? Maybe
Sure.
even within the SCW family.
Yeah.
Let's not leave ourselves out
Yeah.
of it, but what makes this a special
Mhm.
product for solutions that are out there?
Yeah, absolutely. So I would say first off, big picture, just with the company SEW, right? I know you're also asking about specifically this product line too, but SEW is truly just an amazing company, right? It's amazing to see how they reinvest in themselves and also in the community. But more than that though is also their attention to detail, their quality, and just almost 100 years of them being around and doing this excellent engineering and manufacturing work. So I would say definitely that is something that would push me towards SEW over the competition. And then also additionally, specifically for this product line, I would say for me, I'm very partial to the planetary gear train mechanism. Like I just think that's a genius mechanical engineering design. I really am fond of it. I'm a
Mhm.
nerd, if you can't tell. So, nerds have their favorite gear
Hey,
train type.
nerds know
So,
nerds, man. We're
yeah,
good
yeah,
there.
exactly. But yeah, so I do have a favorite gear train type, of course, because I'm a nerd. But I would say planetary is my number one, just because of that peak torque capability that you have with overload conditions, because you do have multiple gear meshes occurring in each planetary stage versus the traditional helical boxes where each stage only has the one gear mesh
Cool.
happening. So, it's kind of like, are you trying to balance on a pogo stick, right?
Mhm.
Versus are you trying to balance on a chair with,
Yeah.
3 or 4 legs? So it's going to be more stable for overload. So that's what I really like about the product line. And then you have all the modular options, and SEW is almost like, Legos for the
Mhm.
gearbox world.
Yeah.
So, we can combine the different 7 Series pre-stage gearboxes, like I mentioned earlier, like the K and the R and others. And we can even add another pre-stage for really high ratios. And then, of course, the fans. We have our own external lubrication system now that I haven't touched on yet, but that's also compatible with the P2E. So, yeah, just so many different options. So I would say those are some things that would point me towards P2E.
It's almost like it doesn't matter what the application is, we can
Mhm.
more than likely find a solution. I'm not gonna say
Exactly.
everyone,
Sure.
but almost all of them, right?
Correct. And
Yeah.
if we don't have something standard, then we have this amazing global and of course local too network of design engineers that are happy to design something that's literally custom tailored to your application. And then
Yeah.
that's where 3D scanning comes in too. We can also
Mhm.
deploy 3D scanning like we've talked about before. So
Yeah. Yeah. Great stuff. I must say, I would point at this unit and say this is one of our most robust
very robust.
solutions. And you know what, Austin? It's been a pleasure chatting with you.
Yeah, you
Thanks a
too.
lot for all you do here at SEW, and thanks for
Absolutely.
the time.
Yeah, man.
And
Likewise.
so we're going to go ahead and shut it down now. Till next
Cool.
time, I'm your host, Jared Scott, for the Driving the World podcast. We look forward to seeing you in our next episode.